Hello, I am Annie Miller with Fit Design by Annie, and today I want to take you through kind of a mobility flow. This is something that I use either before workouts or on my rest days just to kind of feel where my body is, where I'm tight, where I have restrictions, and where I need to work into. So I'm actually going to be doing this with you today. So I will be doing as many reps of each segment as I feel I need for my body. You do as many as you need for your body. You can always pause this video, work into that restriction or tightness that you have, and then push play and move on to the next movement. So let's get started. So first things first, we are going to reach down and touch our toes. If you can't touch your toes, that's fine. Just reach down as far as you can. Touch your toes or the ground, and then we're going to come up onto our toes, roll back and flex onto our heels, toes, heels, toes, and do that a few times. If you cannot touch the floor, and this does take some level of balance, you can put your hands on a chair or a lifted surface of some kind so that you can still get the really good stretch back and forth with some stability in the front. So from here, we're gonna walk straight out into like a seal stretch, all the way through your head, and then push back up, driving your head towards the ground and your tush towards the ceiling. Come back down. You want to keep the spine as tall as you can through this whole movement, so try not to shrug down here into your shoulders. And back up one more time. And this time you're going to bring your foot forward to the outside of your hand. So we're in a deep lunge here, and I want you to actively push on this knee out over your pinky toe while keeping this whole foot on the floor. And then we're just going to rock back. Feel a big stretch here in the hamstring. Rock forward and push that knee out. Back, forward and push the knee out. When you push that knee out, you should feel a pretty big stretch in this glute right here, in this hip. One more time. From here, I want you to do a T-spine rotation, so just open that chest up towards the knee. You should be actively pushing through this shoulder, so we don't want to be sinking down into our shoulder here. Push it away, open up that chest as much as you can, and look at your hand. Come back down to the knee, raise up on that back leg, and do the rotation again. And we're just going to hang out here. If you want to, you can actually add an active rotation, so drop your shoulder down, and back up, drop the shoulder down, and back up. Drop down to that knee, and then we're going to go ahead and switch sides. Push the knee out, rock back onto your hamstring, knee out, hamstring, push the knee out. Keep your whole foot on the floor as you're pushing that knee out. One more. Let's go ahead and do the T-spine rotation, so open your chest up towards your knee. And again, you always want to look at that hand. We're going to come down, come up onto this back leg, rotate again, and you can add the active rotation if you want. Drop the shoulder in, open up, drop the shoulder in, open up, and one more. Okay. From here, you're going to stand up into a super wide stance, toes slightly pointed out, and you can adjust this as we go. Just sit into one side, and keeping my whole foot on the floor, my knee is driving forward, and my chest is as up as I can possibly get it. And we're just going to go back and forth. Keep that whole foot on the floor, so if you're up here and that's as low as you can go, then that's where you're moving. Sink into that hip, and switch. This should give you a pretty good ankle stretch as well if you're trying to drive that knee over your toes while keeping your heel on the floor. One more each. Bring it in for a squat stance. Remember, my squat stance is a little bit wider, so whatever is a comfortable squat stance for you is what you're going to do here. Reach down, touch your toes, drive your elbows into your knees as you come up for a squat. So I am trying to keep my spine as neutral as I can. Back up for a hamstring stretch. And then at the top, I want you to reach for the ceiling with a tall spine and squeeze your glutes. So I'm going to do the next one to the side. So reach up, squeezing the glutes, tall spine, tummy nice and tight. Reach down to your toes. Drive those elbows into your knees and keep your back as tight and as straight as you can. Back up for your hamstring stretch. Squeeze the glutes and reach to the ceiling at the top. Toes, elbows and knees. Back down. Squeeze the glutes at the top, reach for the ceiling. Again. Really try to sink into your hips. One more. We're going to add something to that now. A little T-spine rotation and raising with your arms. So, same way to get down. Touch the toes. This time, I want you to drive your hands out and pull your shoulders back. Place one hand down and we're going to rotate our chest as much as we can, staying in that deep squat position. Place the other hand by your foot. Open the other side. You can see this one is a little bit harder for me. Hand down. Again. And then in this squat position, so I'm letting my tail tuck now. I'm just going to rock back and forth. So you can see from the side. And in my deep squat position. Still trying to keep a somewhat straight back, but I'm just going to rock back and forth through my hips and really work into that hip capsule. And then I always want to get to my nice squat, hands on the floor, squeeze the glutes at the top. So now we're going to go back to the floor for just a little bit, work on our glutes. My glutes are very tight, which you will see, and then move into the upper body. So from the floor, I want you, ideally your leg would be at a 90-degree angle. My glutes are very, very, very tight, and I am not good at this drill. So if you can keep your knee at a 90 and be on top of yourself here, this should be on the floor. So if you can keep your knee at 90, do that. If you need to pull your heel in towards your crotch, pull that foot in, and then try to get over the top of yourself as much as possible. The goal here is to get a tall spine, and you can twist your opposite shoulder towards your knee for an even bigger stretch. You should feel the stretch. Anywhere in here is totally fine to feel the stretch. And I just want you to rock back and forth, lean forward if you can, and look for that stretch. So I would say work into that stretch for anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute. And then we're gonna switch sides. So again, if you are able to keep this leg at a 90, keep it at a 90. I cannot do that, so I'm gonna bring my foot in towards my crotch, get over the top of myself as much as I can. This one is even tighter. And just work into that. Roll back and forth, feel where you're tight, feel where you're restricted, and work into it. You're not going to hurt yourself doing this. If you have any actual pain with any of these, so I'm talking joint pain, like bone pain, not just stretching your muscles, limit the range of motion and don't push into that pain. Okay, if you have actual joint pain where your bones are hurting, you are grinding bones together and something is happening that should not be happening, so don't push into that pain. It's just muscle tightness, push into it. Good, and then we are going to do a drill from here. Now that we've tried to open up our hips, I don't care where your hands are, they can be behind you if you need support. I just try to keep mine out here, and we're just going to rock back and forth and try to sit up as high as you can in this position. Ideally, this butt would be on the floor. I have about an inch here, so I want to try to sit that butt down and then sit up as high as I can in that position. And we're just going to go back and forth. Try to have good posture at the top. And this is just working our range of motion in our hips. Actively using our range of motion instead of just statically stretching it. You can make that even harder and come up at the top. So from here, squeeze the glutes at the top. Sit down, rotate, squeeze the glutes at the top. This is really getting that full range of motion in our hips, which a lot of us do not get if we just sit at a desk all day. Good. From here, we're going to move on to upper body. So, again, with the sitting at a desk theme, we are in this position often. I am actually in this position very often, having a predominantly online business. Even if I work out for an hour a day, that does not undo everything that I have been doing for the last 8 to 9 hours, which is sitting at a desk with my shoulders rolled forward like so. So this is great for people that sit at a desk and need to open up that chest. On your hands and knees, your feet are going to be slightly apart. I want you to sit back on your heels, and then we're going to walk out, booty in the air, and sink your chest towards the floor as much as you can. I actually want you to extend your neck here, and that's going to give you a bigger stretch through your upper back. So just go ahead and breathe through that. With each breath that you breathe out, I want you to push your chest a little closer to the floor and think about elongating your spine like a cat. From this position, take one hand and cross it under, and you are trying to create as much twist as you possibly can without shifting a bunch in your hips. So keep your hips nice and neutral, and then reach through, and this is another T-spine stretch, so we're stretching our upper back. And this is one that you're just gonna go ahead and hold. And you can hold these as long as it feels good for you. And then we're gonna come back to center, just for one big push. And then switch to the other side, reach through. Okay, now we're going to do the wrists from here. People don't often think about their wrists, but your wrists should have full range of motion, and unless you do push-ups or handstands or some type of putting weight on your hands, they do not get weight put on top of them very often, especially in their full range of motion. So, coming to the front for you. On your hands and knees, hands are right underneath your shoulders, elbows are locked out, and you're pushing the floor away with your shoulders. I want you to rock forward. Okay, you should feel pressure in the front of your wrist here, and it should also maybe stretch your forearms a little bit. And then we're going to do some circles. Working out full range of motion in your wrists. Go back the other way. And then flip them over. This one can be really hard for people. If they're tender, go slow, that's totally fine. The goal here is to keep your elbows completely locked out. So just put as much weight on your wrist that's comfortable for you. and sit back onto your heels, you should get a really big stretch up through the front of your forearms. And you can rock back and forth. Try to keep those elbows straight so we don't want this action. Good, and then when you're done with that, you can roll them out if you want to. I think it feels good personally. And you are all done. All right, so again, we just barely scratched the surface there with mobility. I have so many different flows that I do with mobility depending on the day, depending on what's tight. If you guys liked this, make sure that you leave me a comment in the Facebook group, shoot me an email. I will do more of these mobility videos if they are something that you guys enjoy. If you have questions, shoot me an email, comment in the Facebook group, hit me up on Instagram, wherever you see fit for asking your questions or leaving your comments. I would love to hear from you, and I will see you in the next video.